He can't give us the numbers just yet, but they did see more voter turnout during this election than they saw in the 2016 Democratic primary. Protesters had actually come up towards the campus. It has been blocked off by police. Check it out. They're moving in right now. We'll show you as they move in towards the protesters. Now, I was going to step in it to show you just how deep it is. I'm really glad I tested it with this tree branch first because, as you can see, that goes really far down. I had packed up my snow boots for the winter thinking that we were getting spring weather. Obviously, I was very wrong, but at least they're getting some love now. We've seen the floodings change pretty drastically, but for the better. Now, I want to bring your attention to some of these debris down here in the roadway. This is how far the water was up just in the past 25 minutes. We've been watching as it's quickly started receding. These people who are trapped in their hotel rooms because of the rising floodwaters out of their hotel rooms. If you take a look at just how high, you can see just over my shoulder, that's the propane tank that took firefighters and rescue workers 6 hours to get out from here. It's what it was battling. Oh, if you point our camera up, I think we can see it. Just now it's overhead. We're going to try to get you a shot of that chopper right now. What's your reaction to President Trump saying the emails on Hunter Biden's laptop is the second biggest political scandal in history? What about no face coverings in the classrooms?
Man, we might want to watch the recording.
I know, set up to teacher discretion.
Our Christina Thompson has the first on-camera interview with Falwell's fitness trainer. It is a story you will only see on ABC 13.
Jerry Falwell's personal trainer, Ben Crosswhite, says years of scrutiny over a business deal between the two is catching up with him. Now he wants to set the record straight.
You know, they're making comments on Instagram and Facebook about my son and, you know, my wife and family. And, you know, that's when I start to take it more to heart. And it's really hard to look past that. So it's been hard. It has.
The deal itself happened back in 2016.
I wrote a pro forma, did a business plan, presented it to the board, presented it to the executives at Liberty.
According to federal law, as a private institution, Liberty was not required to seek out any other bids. The buyer-seller agreement shows Crosswhite purchased LU's tennis and gym facility for $1.2 million. That's the same price the building was assessed for, according to this report from the city of Lynchburg. The buyer-seller agreement shows Liberty also forked over about $646,000 in rent up front to reserve the rights to use the tennis courts for 9 years.
That's where they get that sweet deal from.
But Crosswhite says in hindsight, this deal was not actually so sweet. Liberty University still had claims to these tennis courts, their teams kicking off paying customers and using them free of charge.
And that means people weren't doing memberships annually. There was a lot of people that wouldn't do it when the tennis team was in session.
I reached out to 5 expert real estate lawyers across the area and asked them to look through all the documents surrounding the deal. Jim Gilbert, real estate lawyer of over 25 years, says,
I think it's naive to say that the gentleman got a sweet deal, and there are a number of reasons why. Number one, my understanding is that the building had some age to it.
The assessment report shows the building was built in 1973, making it 43 years old at the time Crosswhite purchased it. These financial documents from LU show the building had a whole slew of problems, and the university was losing $100,000 on it every year.
Now that they know that Mr. Falwell was involved, they're now looking at it through a lens of suspicion.
So why is this deal resurfacing in recent weeks? Crosswhite thinks it's an effort to connect him to the affair Falwell announced to the Washington Examiner between his wife Becky and a then 20-year-old pool boy, Giancarlo Granda, at a Miami hotel.
They want it to fit the bill. They want it to play into their narrative of me being the second pool boy kind of thing. And it's just not true.
Falwell resigned as president of Liberty University just days after he broke the news of his wife's affair. After his resignation, LU hired an outside group to investigate all real estate deals throughout Falwell's entire presidency at the school. According to officials at Liberty, this deal with Crosswhite would fall into the investigation because it happened during the time Falwell was president.
I welcome it. There's nothing that that's sketchy behind the transaction. It was a normal business, legitimate transaction, and I'm kind of looking forward to them putting that out there.
Liberty officials are not doing any interviews because this is an open investigation, but they did send me documents and statements made by the school in past years. All of them, LU officials stand behind the deal. I reached out to Jerry Falwell for a comment, but did not hear back. Reporting live in Lynchburg, Christina Thompson, ABC 13 News. Based off the comments on our WSET 13 Facebook page, the public has many questions about what exactly happened during the DUI traffic stop involving state delegate Chris Hurst.
You're over the legal Take care.
Questions like, why did the officer let them drive away? Did they actually go to Walmart like the officer asked? And why are legislators immune to arrest for most infractions? So I drove to Christiansburg to spend the day trying to answer those questions for you. First stop, the police department, to ask the police chief if the lieutenant conducting the traffic stop followed proper procedure.
Hi, can I help you?
Hey, yeah, I work with ABC 13 News. The police chief refused an on-camera interview, but a representative did come out to speak with us, saying all our questions will be answered in an official statement. The public is just like genuinely very curious and has a lot of questions.
Yeah, and I hope our statement will hopefully explain why.
None of our questions were answered in that statement. It only addressed the department conducting an internal investigation and reviewing DUI policies. So I sent an additional email asking if it was safe to let them drive, if the officer followed proper protocol, and why didn't the officer wait with them or follow them to Walmart. Only the protocol was explained in response, that delegates may be summoned but not arrested. The department did release the text between Lieutenant Stephen Swecker and his supervisor. In it, we read Lieutenant Swecker recognized Hurst during the traffic stop, but did not expect any media attention to come from it. Swecker's supervisor then references Virginia state law that prohibits officers from charging state legislators while the General Assembly is in session. Lieutenant Swecker's supervisor tells him he did a good job.
Would you go to Walmart parking lot and hang out for 30 minutes?
Did y'all ever check the surveillance footage at the Walmart to make sure that Hurst actually went when he said he would?
Not either.
Next, we tried Christiansburg Town Hall, preferably the mayor, a councilman, or the manager who can do an interview about the Chris Hurst traffic stop.
We're not doing any on-camera interviews.
They all know, right, that there's been lots of questions from the people in the public having very specific things they want answered. Okay,